Anime is not just a form of entertainment, it is a business run by people who do not always understand or care about its fan base, which has led to many problems that were detrimental to the success and popularity of anime in the United States. Just a little bit of a disclaimer though, I think that the way anime and manga is currently handled in the United States is much better than the way it was handled in the past, so I think that a lot of these problems we can overcome, but these were a huge blow to the popularity of anime and manga in the United States. The majority of the problems stem from people who do not understand their product and people who do not understand the fanbase. In Japan, censorship is very different. They show things that people aren't allowed to see in the United States until they're 18 or so, such as sex, nudity, and also violence. They can see these things, but we can't see it until we are 18 years old in the United States. Of course, we always do, but that is the recommended guideline, that we can't view these until we are 18 years old or over. When I was growing up, anime or anything animated always fell under this misconception of being children's television programming. However, in Japan, we would have these products of anime which were aimed at teenagers who were allowed to see more than teenagers were allowed to see in the United States. So they would take these products for teenagers with different copyright laws and they would try to change it to make it suitable for children. When I was growing up, I watched a show called Voltron, Defender of the Universe, which we can see here under a different name, which is Go Lion. Go Lion, of course, is its original title in Japan, but it's not just the name that changed. They changed many elements of the story as well. Voltron had concepts of slavery, and there was violence there as well, and it wasn't necessarily a mature series, but it was something that I feel was aimed at teenagers, and they took this and they cut it down. They took so much out of the story, and then they looped a bunch of footage, and then they changed a lot of the plot just to make it acceptable for children. In my opinion, ruined the series. I'm not saying that Voltron is necessarily a bad series as itself, but it's simply not what it was intended to be. So because of all of these inconsistencies within the story, you would expect this problem to be fixed very early on, but this is a major problem that we find for over a decade. The last known problem that I've seen of this, in my experience, has been One Piece with the terrible 4Kids dub, but I'm gonna get more into that later on. So let's take a moment and look at what anime got right. There are 3 titles here which were a huge success: Pokemon, Dragon Ball, and Sailor Moon, and these 3 titles targeted different audiences. We have Pokemon, which targeted children as well as teenagers, and they also sold a lot of merchandise that way. We have Dragon Ball Z, which was a bit more violent, which mostly targeted teenagers, but kind of targeted anyone, men and women. Then we had Sailor Moon, which in my opinion mostly targeted females, but also a lot of men liked it as well, and that was really my biggest gripe with the series, that I thought it was very girly, and I never got into it. However, times have changed, and I'm pretty open-minded to it now. If I ever had an opportunity to watch it, I wouldn't mind to. But here we have these 3 major series that got a lot of people into anime. This was one major catalyst for getting people into anime as a whole, but the biggest problem here was that it wasn't anything after these to get people into anime even further. We had other shows, but there wasn't anything as big as this first wave of success in the United States. I think the anime that should be on TV need to have mass appeal. They need to be able to become mainstream, for it to spread like wildfire, to get everyone who's into anime into it, to get everyone who's not into anime into it. And for that to happen, I recommend you to check out my previous video from Monday, which is what makes an anime mainstream, and that's where I talk about that and why mainstream anime is very important. This leads up into the next topic, which is the big 3. If you're unfamiliar with this term, that means Naruto, One Piece, and Bleach. These 3 shows were very popular for a long time in Japan and still are, and I feel that these shows were the next wave of popular anime, but all 3 of these titles had problems with them in the way that it was handled. For the least part, Bleach is kind of off the hook here. The biggest problem with Bleach, in my opinion, was that it showed so late on, and it really missed everything, so that mostly leads Naruto and One Piece. Now, One Piece had a huge problem, which was the 4Kids dub. Now, in my opinion, the 4Kids dub was easily the largest mistake made with anime here. It didn't just hurt the popularity and credibility of One Piece, it hurt the popularity and credibility of the entire medium of anime for an entire country. It did so many terrible things, such as, no spoilers or anything, but there's a character that died within the series. They went as far as penciling this character out of every single scene that he was in, and it's just like he wasn't there, and I don't know what would have happened if they would have gotten to the point where this character dies, but they penciled him out altogether, and he never existed in any scene there. They changed Sanji's cigarettes to lollipops, they changed bullets and arrows into suction cups, which was a huge problem because One Piece is a series where characters die. Whenever I watch One Piece, I prefer to watch it with the Japanese audio, but sometimes I will watch it with the dub. I don't have a problem with the dub, really. Of course, I don't really care for every single character here, but for the most part, it's alright. But people will give me slack for watching this in dub, and the way I feel about that is, if One Piece dub was around, instead of the 4Kids dub, even if you took the dub that it currently has and it was only like 1/10 as good as it actually is now, it would have made a huge impact in the United States, and anime as a whole would be much more popular. So when I was growing up, I'm pretty sure this is the case for everyone, I would watch my cartoons and all, but whenever I would see something that was even just a little bit more mature, I really loved it. It was something that stuck into my head. Not because it was something I shouldn't be seeing, but because I felt that I was being taken seriously, and I could handle these things, because the way that things are censored, we censor so much that is unnecessary just because there are small percentage of people that cannot handle seeing certain things, that everyone in the country is held back because of this, and it really doesn't make any sense. It's a very antiquated system that really needs to be revised. So moving on, we've already talked about Bleach, we've already talked about One Piece, let's talk a bit about Naruto. There are two major problems that happen within Naruto, and one is a lot less serious than the other. Talking about the least one first, we have the dubbing, and its very annoying catchphrase of "believe it," but aside from that, I don't think that the dubbing was that bad. I think that the dubbing was tolerable. Now, before you try and dispute that, keep in mind that good and bad is simply subjective, and it can mean different things to different people, and I guarantee you that I have seen much worse dubs than most people have, because I grew up watching kung fu movies. If you've ever seen the dub of kung fu movies, then you know bad dub, and Naruto is not really that bad. Even if you take a look at some of the more modern kung fu movies, the dubs of those are still worse than the worst dubbing that I've ever seen in anime. So compared to that, the Naruto dub is tolerable. So having said that, moving on to the largest problem with the Naruto series and the way it was handled in the United States, here I have 5 seasons. In total, there are 9 seasons of Naruto, but these 5 seasons are all of the canon, which is the story that was originally created in the manga. Now, if you look at these 5 seasons, there are filler within them, and if you were to take out all of the filler, I imagine that you could probably find a season and a half of filler. So these 5 seasons here are canon for the most part. There are filler there, but then there are 4 other seasons after this which are 100% filler. So if you look at the entirety of the filler of Naruto, there is more filler than there is canon. And the problem with that is that on Cartoon Network, on Toonami, they tried to air this series in its entirety, all 9 seasons of it, and people lost interest very quickly once they got into all of this filler. And if the dubbing didn't stop them, which I don't really think is that big of a deal, I know that all of this filler is something that really hurt this series. Don't get me wrong here, Toonami did feature some great titles. I'm picking on the big 3 because these are the most mainstream. These are the largest, longest running shows that Toonami had that would have had the biggest potential for success, but ultimately we dropped the ball. I can't really blame Bleach because Bleach is the newest of all of these shows in the big 3, so I can't really fault it for coming out later, but there was such a large gap in this mass popularity of anime here because we messed up with One Piece, we kinda messed up with Naruto, and I feel that if we had done everything right, that anime would be much more popular than it is today. So taking a look past Toonami into Adult Swim, we had plenty of great shows which were responsible for getting people into anime as well, such as Full Metal Alchemist, Inuyasha, Cowboy Bebop, Fooly Cooly, plenty of great titles there, but the biggest problem with Adult Swim was that it only aired at night, where most people weren't really watching TV. We needed these shows to be in the daytime, where the peak hours were, where everybody was watching TV. So the way I see it is, we need to have anime on TV. We recently got back Toonami, which plays on Saturdays, past midnight, and I don't think that's really a good time for them to show anime. We need anime in the middle of the day. There needs to be one channel out there that everyone can access that plays anime in the middle of the day, and not really these niche titles or anything. We need the most popular, the most mainstream, the anime which has the most mass appeal to it out there, so that we can branch out and get as many more anime fans, because in this day and age, we don't really need to rely on TV to watch our anime. If you're a fan of anime already, then you have the internet. Anime thrives on the internet. You can stream anime from so many sites, and I'm talking legal streaming too. There's Netflix, which you can pay for if you want. There's Hulu, there's the Funimation site. There are countless sites out there that stream anime legally now, and you can watch it all there in good quality. There's Crunchyroll. There are just so many sites out there that you can watch anime on, that if you already know about anime, you could be happy with that. Now, the difference between TV and the internet is, you come online, you will find so many different things that you are looking for, things that you know about, or things that people show you. But if you don't know about it, if you're not looking for it, and if you don't have people to show you these things, then you're not going to find it. However, on TV, you can find anything that is shown to you simply because you turn it on and anime's there. If anime was there, of course, you would just turn it on and it would be in the middle of the day. That was the appeal of Toonami originally. You turn TV on when you come home from school, and there it is. It's given to you. You don't have to look for it. You don't have to find it. You don't have to know about it already to see it. It's there, unlike with the internet. So that's something that I feel also hurt anime, because we didn't really have internet at that time. It wasn't as easily accessible at that time at decent enough speeds to watch anime online. If we had the internet of today in the height of Toonami back then anime would have exploded, because there are so many selections of anime, and this was back then. If you look into the current time, there are so many anime out there that people can watch and enjoy, that I think people would easily pick up anime from, but they're not shown in the daytime, in the prime time of TV. The importance of having anime on TV is that it gathers new people to like anime. The more people that like anime, the more people that know about it, the more people that search it online, then you'll have more people that buy it, or more people that watch it on some of these sites, which give more money to these companies, which can license more titles, which bring out more anime in the United States, which gets more anime translated, which gets more anime dubbed. And then you have other countries, plenty of other countries that speak English, or countries that speak other languages, who can take our translation of it and put it out in their own country as well once they license it. Now, I don't know all of the logistics of how licensing companies in other countries work, but I do know from talking to a lot of people that live in other countries that they do take the English translation of it. If they have the English dub, they take the English dub from that, and for the most part, they will kind of make their own dub, but I think it's easier for them to translate it from English into their language than it is to translate from Japanese into their language, from what I've heard. So you see this big snowball effect with simply anime being on TV. It would become more popular and give more anime to the rest of the world over time. So anyways, that is my thoughts about the problems that have hurt anime the most. If you agree or if you disagree, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below and let me know why. Thank you for watching. I'll see you later.